This image was almost buried. Had it not leaked, we may never have known it existed. In 1976, NASA's Viking 1 orbiter was mapping the Martian surface when it captured something no one expected. A photo labeled Frame 35, a 72. At first glance, it looked like any other stretch of Martian terrain, dusty, scarred, lifeless. But in one corner of the image, something stared back. A formation, 1.5 miles long, 800 feet high, and unmistakably shaped like a human face. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, even what looked like a headdress, perfectly symmetrical. NASA dismissed it instantly. Just a trick of light, they said, a shadow, nothing more. But millions of people around the world weren't convinced. Because nature doesn't build faces, and it doesn't carve monuments. And then, NASA went silent. For 20 years. So the question remains, was it just a rock? Or did we capture accidentally the greatest archaeological discovery in the history of humanity? This is not just a mystery, it's a photograph that defies explanation, and a silence that speaks volumes. Welcome to Astro Mystery, and welcome to the Face on Mars. The image, Frame 35. A 72 wasn't supposed to be anything special. Just another snapshot from Viking 1's high-altitude survey over the Cydonia region of Mars. NASA was using these images to map the surface, to plan future landings. But buried in that frame was something no one expected. When scientists reviewed the image, one of them, Dr. Tobias Owen, noted something strange. A hill. But it didn't look like a hill. It looked like a face. He mentioned it casually in a briefing, but what happened next was anything but casual. NASA's public affairs officer, Jerry Soffin, showed the image during a press event. A journalist raised the obvious question. Was this a face? Soffin smiled. Just a trick of light and shadow, he said. We'll take another picture at a different sun angle. You'll see it disappear. But they didn't take another picture. Not for a very long time. And that silence, right there, was what started it all. Because the public did see something. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, a perfectly proportioned human-like face staring up from the Martian dust. It looked deliberate, sculpted, almost regal. The press ran with it. "Face on Mars!" blared headlines. Tabloids claimed proof of aliens. TV specials aired with dramatic music and grainy zoom-ins. Children asked their parents if Martians were real. And in living rooms around the world, people looked at that photo and whispered the same thing. That's not just a rock. And the more people looked, the more they saw. Because the face wasn't alone. All around it, in that same Cydonia region, were other strange shapes. Angles, shadows, patterns. It didn't look random. It looked like ruins, like a city. And suddenly, one blurry photo had become something far bigger. A symbol of wonder, of fear, of the possibility that we were not the first intelligence in this solar system. And, as speculation swirled, NASA said nothing for 2 decades. As the face captured headlines, others began looking closer at its surroundings. What they found was even more unsettling. Just a few kilometers southeast of the face sat a massive 5-sided structure, later called the D&M Pyramid. It wasn't jagged like the other hills nearby. It had straight lines, angular ridges, symmetrical facets, and it wasn't alone. Independent researchers began mapping the terrain around the face, outlining patterns that suggested design rather than chance. They called it the city. A group of objects, some pyramidal, others dome-like, arranged in what looked like a geometric grid. Some formations aligned with mathematical constants, the golden ratio, tetrahedral angles, even pi. This wasn't just speculation, it was analysis. Peer-reviewed papers by physicists like Dr. Errol Torin and image processing experts like Dr. Mark Carlotto found that the features exhibited statistical anomalies, deviations from randomness. They looked placed, One structure was dubbed the Fortress, another the Tholus. Still another resembled a collapsed dome. Some researchers even overlaid the layout of Cydonia onto ancient Earth cities, like Teotihuacan in Mexico, and found uncanny similarities, too uncanny to ignore. Meanwhile, skeptics dismissed it all as wishful thinking. Pareidolia, they said, the brain's tendency to find familiar patterns in randomness. But pareidolia doesn't explain alignments, or angles, or ratios baked into a landscape. And as the analysis deepened, the question became louder. If these formations were just natural, why did they mirror the very structures our own ancestors once built? And what would it mean if they weren't just mirrors? What if they were the originals? If you're captivated by this mystery, don't just watch, investigate with us. Subscribe to Astro Mystery for weekly deep dives into space anomalies, government cover-ups, and the strangest truths in our universe. Because the face on Mars was just the beginning. And while the image raised questions, it was what surrounded the face that truly escalated everything. For 2 decades, NASA said nothing more. No new images, no missions to Cydonia. Just silence. Until 1998. That year, the Mars Global Surveyor, equipped with a powerful new camera, returned to orbit. And one of its first targets? The Cydonia region. Finally, the world would get a clearer look at the face, and when the new images came in, they were devastating. The structure was still there, but the face was gone. No eyes, no mouth, just a lumpy hill. NASA released the photo with a short caption. Proof, they said, that the face had always been a trick of light and shadow. Case closed. But for many, the case had just been reopened, because the new image wasn't just clearer, it was different. Very different. The lighting was harsher, the sun angle was high, erasing shadow contours. The image looked flatter, more washed out. And there was something else. The image hadn't been released immediately. NASA waited nearly a month before publishing it. Why the delay? Some critics, like Richard Hoagland, accused NASA of deliberate image manipulation. He argued that the smoothing filters used in post-processing erased subtle details, the very details that made the original image so compelling. Independent image analysts supported the concern. When raw, unprocessed files were finally made available, side-by-side comparisons revealed faint symmetries still present. The ridges, the depressions, the mouth line. They were still there, just blurred. Even more curious? The Global Surveyor had taken multiple passes over Cydonia, but NASA only released the one image, the one that made the face disappear. So was NASA truly setting the record straight, or controlling the narrative? And if the face really was just a hill, why treat it like a secret? In 2025, nearly 50 years after the original Viking photo, a new set of eyes turned toward Cydonia. This time, it wasn't NASA. It was the European Space Agency, using its Mars Express orbiter. Unlike previous missions, ESA's team captured a wide range of imagery, across different light angles, elevation perspectives, and infrared scans. They weren't trying to solve the face mystery. They were simply documenting the terrain. But something unexpected happened. One of the photos, taken at a low sun angle near Martian dusk, revealed something shocking. The face was back, faint, weathered, but undeniably there. A ridge where the brow should be, depressions like eye sockets, a triangular shadow across what resembled a nose, a dark horizontal line along the bottom. The image wasn't dramatic, it was subtle, but for those who knew what to look for, it was unmistakable. ESA released the photo quietly, buried in a broader data dump. No press release, no commentary. But within days, image analysts and curious researchers were posting comparisons. Side by side with the 1976 Viking photo, it matched. In fact, when the lighting was matched digitally and the ESA image adjusted for contrast, the resemblance was stronger than ever. So what happened? Did erosion rebuild the illusion? Or had something always been there, waiting for the right light to return? And why, once again, did the agency with the answers say nothing? At some point, speculation gives way to a question too big to ignore. What if Mars wasn't just habitable? What if it was inhabited? We already know that billions of years ago, Mars had liquid water, rivers, lakes, even oceans. Its atmosphere was thicker. Its magnetic field was active. In every way that matters, it was like Earth. NASA has confirmed organic molecules in Martian soil. They've found sedimentary rock shaped by water flow, seasonal methane releases in the atmosphere, and unusual radiation spikes near the surface. In short, life was possible. So why is it so hard to believe it may have actually happened? And if it did, where did it go? Some scientists believe Mars died naturally, that it lost its magnetic field, exposing the atmosphere to solar wind and stripping it away over millions of years. But others aren't so sure. Dr. John Brandenburg, a plasma physicist who once worked on NASA projects, proposed something radical, that Mars didn't just die, it was destroyed. In his analysis of Martian isotopic data, he found concentrations of xenon-129, an isotope commonly produced by nuclear explosions. According to Brandenburg, the pattern resembles what we'd expect after a large-scale nuclear event. And where was that pattern strongest? Near Cydonia. It sounds unbelievable, outlandish, but so did the face, until it appeared in a NASA photograph. And here's the deeper question. If there was a civilization on Mars, was the face their monument? A beacon to future explorers? Or was it something else? A warning, maybe. A last message carved in stone for whoever came next. And now, after decades of silence, we're the ones staring back. The face on Mars is more than rock, more than coincidence. It's a mirror, one that forces us to confront who we are and what we're willing to see. We stare into it, and something stares back. Not just a formation, but a question carved in silence. What happened here? And why does it feel familiar? Maybe it's because we've done this before, on Earth. We've buried our own cities, erased our own histories, silenced our own truths. And now, staring across 140 million miles, we find that same silence written in Martian stone. Maybe the face was a monument, maybe it was a warning, or maybe it was hope. A signal left not for invaders or enemies, but for someone like us. A species curious enough to look closer, brave enough to ask why. And now that we've seen it, really seen it, we don't get to unsee it. So the question is no longer whether it's real. The question is, what if it is? Because if the face is real, then Mars is not just a planet. It's a story. And it's our turn to finish it. Subscribe to Astro Mystery. Because what you've seen is just one piece, and there's so much more we're about to uncover. New evidence, new missions, and revelations that could reshape everything we think we know about Mars and ourselves.